Hello Year 2! I've really missed reading to you all, so I'm so excited that we've now got this YouTube channel so we can still share some stories. So, the book I've chosen to read to you is James and the Giant Peach, which is a book by the author Roald Dahl. And we've read a few Roald Dahl books already this school year, so I thought it would be really nice to carry on with the same author. So, before I start reading you the story, I'm going to read you the blurb, which is the bit at the back of the book that tells us a little bit about the story. So, James Henry Trotter lives with two ghastly hags. Aunt Sponge is enormously fat with a face that looks boiled, and Aunt Spiker is bony and screeching. He's very lonely until one day something peculiar happens. At the end of the garden, a peach starts to grow and grow and grow. Inside that peach are 7 very unusual insects, all waiting to take James on a magical adventure. But where will they go in their giant peach? And what will happen to the horrible aunts if they stand in their way? There's only one way to find out. So we're going to have to read the story, aren't we, to find out. And there is the front cover of the book. So James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl. Okay. Chapter 1. Until he was 4 years old, James Henry Trotter had a happy life. He lived peacefully with his mother and father in a beautiful house beside the sea. There were always plenty of other children for him to play with, and there was a sandy beach for him to run about on, and the ocean to paddle in. It was the perfect life for a small boy. Then, one day, James's mother and father went to London to do some shopping, and there a terrible thing happened. Both of them suddenly got eaten up, in full daylight mind you, on a crowded street, by an enormous angry rhinoceros which had escaped from London Zoo. Now, this, as you can well imagine, was rather a nasty experience for two such gentle parents, but in the long run it was far nastier for James than it was for them. Their troubles were over in a jiffy. They were dead and gone in 35 seconds flat. Poor James, on the other hand, was still very much alive, and all at once found himself alone and frightened in a vast unfriendly world. The lovely house by the seaside had to be sold immediately, and the little boy, carrying nothing but a small suitcase containing a pair of pyjamas and a toothbrush, was sent away to live with his two aunts. Their names were Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker, and I'm sorry to say they were both really horrible people. They were selfish and lazy and cruel, and right from the beginning they started beating poor James for almost no reason at all. They never called him by his real name, but always referred to him as "you disgusting little beast," or "you filthy nuisance," or "you miserable creature." And they certainly never gave him any toys to play with, or any picture books to look at. His room was as bare as a prison cell. They lived, Aunt Sponge, Aunt Spiker, and now James as well, in a queer ramshackle house on top of a high hill in the south of England. The hill was so high that from almost anywhere in the garden James could look down and see for miles and miles across the marvellous landscape of woods and field. And on a very clear day, if he looked in the right direction, he could see a tiny grey dot far away on the horizon, which was the house that he used to live in with his beloved mother and father. And just beyond that, he could see the ocean itself, a long thin streak of blackish blue, like a line of ink beneath the rim of the sky. But James was never allowed to go down off the top of the hill. Neither Aunt Sponge nor Aunt Spiker would ever be bothered to take him out herself, not even for a small walk or a picnic, and he certainly wasn't permitted to go alone. "The nasty little beast will only get into mischief if he goes out of the garden," Aunt Spiker had said, and terrible punishments were promised to him, such as being locked in the cellar with rats for a week, if he so much as dared climb over the fence. The garden, which covered the whole of the top of the hill, was large and desolate, and the only tree in the entire place, apart from a clump of dirty old laurel bushes at the far end, was an ancient peach tree that never gave any peaches. There was no swing, no seesaw, no sandpit, and no other children were ever invited to come up the hill to play with poor James. There wasn't so much as a dog or a cat around to keep him company. And as time went on, he became sadder and more lonely, and he used to spend hours every day standing at the bottom of the garden, gazing wistfully at the lovely but forbidden world of woods and fields and oceans that spread out below him like a magic carpet. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 1. And what we'll be doing is we'll be uploading one chapter every day. So today we've done chapter 1 and tomorrow I will read you chapter 2. So I hope you've enjoyed the story. I hope you're all managing to stay inside and stay safe, and lovely to read to you.